So, the NFL playoffs are finally among us, and what a strange and wild season it was. Former quarterback guru John Gruden came out of retirement to coach the Raiders after a 10-year hiatus, but it's going to take some time for him to get some of that rust off because they finished with one of the worst records in the league this year. But that wasn't before he traded away some of his biggest stars in Khalil Mack and Amari Cooper. Speaking of Khalil Mack, who is now a Chicago Bear, he started the season absolutely destroying offenses and helped shape this team into the best defense in football. And the Bears finished 12-4 this year with new head coach Matt Nagy, my pick for coach of the year, and Mitch Trubisky taking a huge step forward from his rookie season. And who could forget about the GOAT, Ryan Fitzmagic. Fitzpatrick started for the Bucs this year as Jameis Winston was suspended. And of course, Fitzmagic was killing it, putting up monster numbers and also taking down the defending Super Bowl champs. But of course, the magic ran out. And Jameis Winston is back in his starting spot. And the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are still the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But you know who kept that magic all season? Patrick Mahomes. What? One of the biggest stories of the year. Mahomes in just his second season put up MVP numbers and threw for 50 touchdowns. And creating one of the scariest offenses in the league. And an even bigger story this season? Patrick Mahomes' voice sounds like Kermit the Frog.
I mean, you can't ignore that guy. That guy's open every single time he's in the right spot. I mean, he'll break off a route in ways that you're not supposed to in the theoretical book.
Yeah. And of course, there are other noteworthy stories that happened this year. Le'Veon Bell sat this one out. Coaches were fired. And the Cleveland Browns actually won a game. 7, actually. But the regular season is done and over with as we move on to the playoffs. And around this time of year, people love to give their own playoff predictions. And so now, for the first time ever, I give you my playoff predictions. So let's start off with this upcoming Wildcard weekend. 10-6 Colts go to Houston to play the 11-5 Texans. Now, I love J.J. Watt. I love DeAndre Hopkins. But this team already lost to the Colts last month at home. Colts have been playing great on both sides of the ball, and when it comes down to it, I like Andrew Luck over Deshaun Watson. I'm taking the Colts. Next up, the 10-6 Seahawks travel to play the 10-6 Dallas Cowboys, and I'm taking Seattle to win this one. These teams are very similar and play the same style of football. They love to run the ball, and the Seahawks are number 1 in rushing this year. Yes, the Cowboys have Zeke, who led the league in rushing yards this season, but the Seahawks will limit mistakes and control the pace of this game. The Seahawks ranked first in turnover differentials this year, only giving up 11 turnovers all season. They don't turn the ball over. Both defenses give up points, so I expect this one to come down to basically who has the better offense. And I give the edge to the Seahawks, especially if this game goes down to the wire, because in my opinion, Russell Wilson is the best fourth quarter quarterback in the league. Now, the Seahawks did beat the Cowboys in Seattle in Week 3, but really both teams are just far more different than they were back when they played. Earl Thomas was a huge factor in that game, and obviously he got injured, but you can see that they're doing surprisingly well without him, or the Legion of Boom for that matter. And Bobby Wagner quietly remains probably the best defensive player in football. Next up, the 12-4 Chargers take on the 10-6 Ravens in Baltimore. And I think the Chargers will prepare better for them this time around and win this one. They have great players at every position, and they can compete against any team in the league. The Ravens do have one of the best defenses in football, and Lamar Jackson actually does look like he's capable of leading this team for years to come. But I have to go with experience, and I have to go with Phillip Rivers over a rookie quarterback in his first ever playoff game. Last year's Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles just barely squeezed their way into the playoffs this year, and they played the Chicago Bears at home. Chicago's D is loaded with talent and are the scariest defense in football. They lead the league in takeaways with 36, and they also tallied 50 sacks, and they scored 6 defensive touchdowns. Now listen, I know I'm crazy for saying this, and I know it won't be easy, but if Nick Foles plays this game, I really think that the Eagles have a shot at winning this game. The Eagles are really hot right now, and they have nothing to lose. All the pressure is going to be on Chicago to win this game, and they don't have any playoff experience. Although I do think the Bears are going to play a really good game, and they're going to leave it all on the field, no doubt. The Eagles are still one of the best teams in football, and if Nick Foles plays, if Nick Foles plays, I like the Eagles to advance to the next round. So if you haven't realized by now, I'm taking every away team to win this round, this wildcard weekend. Not just because I love a good underdog story, but I genuinely believe that this year's playoffs don't have a clear-cut winner. I think anything can happen this year. All these teams are good, and I could easily see anyone making it to the Super Bowl. But I do have to pick someone to get there, and it wasn't easy. But I would have to pick both number 1 seeds from each conference to make it to the big game. Now, first off, to me, the Saints are the most well-rounded team in the NFL. Drew Brees might be the best passer of all time. He continues to put up ridiculous numbers, and it's unfortunate that he has never, and now with Patrick Mahomes in the mix, may never ever win an NFL MVP award. And like I said this before, these playoffs are up for grabs, and anyone can win this game. But this team is just too good to bet against. I have to pick them. The Rams have talent across the board, and they have one of the most creative head coaches in the league. But we'll see which Rams team shows up to play, because even though they have Todd Gurley, hurdling defenders, and last year's Defensive Player of the Year, Aaron Donald, on their defense is still suspect at times, so we'll see. The Chiefs, on the other hand, were a much harder pick for me because you can never count out the Patriots. They were able to clinch a playoff bye, and you know that they're going to be preparing for any situation against any playoff team. But the reason I have the Chiefs dethroning the Pats this year is because I think that they're going to win their first game, and they just need to win that first game, and they're going to have enough momentum and gain enough confidence to outduel Tom Brady and the Patriots. The Chiefs, however, while they did tie for the most sacks this year with 52, they were one of the worst defenses in football this year, giving up way too many points and relying way too much on Patrick Mahomes to win games for them. And I know Bill Belichick will have a game plan for this team. And the Patriots defense remains one of the best, but I just don't know if they can stop the Chiefs from scoring. And if they can't, are you sure that Tom Brady can keep up with Patrick Mahomes? I don't know. And poor Andy Reid. His playoff luck has to turn around sometime. So in the end, I have MVP favorites Drew Brees and Patrick Mahomes going head-to-head in what will hopefully be as exciting a game as it sounds. And I've got the Saints coming out on top. Like I said before, this team is just too good to bet against, and I think that this is their year. So those are my NFL playoff predictions. I know it's easy to pick the top seeded teams from each conference to make it to the Super Bowl, but like I said, this is anyone's game. I mean, this is up for grabs. These playoffs are, every team in the playoffs is really good, and I can see anyone making it. What are your playoff predictions? Do you agree, disagree? Who do you have winning it all? Let me know in the comments. I love talking football, and I love talking sports in general. And if you feel the same way about grown men playing games like I do, maybe think about subscribing to this channel. Maybe you don't even like sports at all, and you're just like, oh, I just clicked on this video because I remember this kid, I went to high school with him. Hey, it's no secret that I love football, but I love watching other things on TV too. TV shows, movies. I'm a huge fan of film and TV, and I so badly want to be that person that you turn to when you need recommendations on what to watch on Netflix. I love music, video games, and I know that this is starting to sound like a really bad cliche eHarmony bio, but if any of that sounds interesting to you, please feel free to subscribe. This is a new channel that I'm hoping to grow into something cool and exciting, and a channel where I will be reacting and reviewing and discussing the things that I'm most passionate about. So thank you so much for watching, and no, I don't have like a cool or catchy sign off outro thing, so I'll just leave you with this really inspiring quote.